I almost walked out. That's the truth. The second I saw her step into that cafe with a toddler on her hip, every survival instinct in me screamed, leave. I had already buried one love. I had already rebuilt my life around a 4-year-old who still asked where mommy went. I didn't have room for complicated, and nothing says complicated like a blind date who arrives carrying a child. But then she looked at me, not hopeful, not flirtatious, braced, like she was waiting for the exact moment I'd decide she was too much. And I knew that look, because I wear it too. It was raining hard that night in Seattle, the kind of rain that makes everything feel heavier. I'd been sitting there for almost 20 minutes, convincing myself this was a mistake. Sophie had cried when I left. I promised her extra bedtime stories. I don't break promises to my daughter. So when Mara walked in, windblown, soaked, exhausted, I should have grabbed my jacket and escaped before this became real. Instead, I smiled, not at her, at the little girl in the pink bunny raincoat. Hey, I said gently, I like your coat. The toddler peeked at me with huge gray eyes. Mara froze. I could see the calculation in her face. Is he judging me? Is he about to run? I'm sorry I'm late, she said, her voice tight. My sitter canceled. I almost didn't come. I'm glad you did, I replied, and I meant it. She studied me like she was searching for cracks in my kindness. You didn't leave, she said quietly. Most men would have. I thought about it, I admitted. But my daughter already sacrificed story time for this. Felt unfair to waste the effort. That made her blink. You have a daughter? 4, I said. Sophie. Something shifted then. Not attraction. Not yet. Recognition. 2 tired people. 2 single parents. 2 hearts that had already been broken. When she finally sat down across from me, toddler asleep against her chest, I felt it. Not love. Not even hope. Just this quiet, dangerous thought. Maybe this isn't something to run from. And that terrified me more than anything. I didn't expect to feel protective of her that quickly. Not romantically. Just instinctively. She sat across from me with her daughter curled against her chest, like she was shielding her from the entire world. And I could see it. The tension in her shoulders. The way her eyes scanned the cafe like someone waiting for impact. I should probably go, she said softly. She's usually asleep by now. That was my moment. The easy exit. The polite ending. Instead, I heard myself say, stay. 15 minutes. I'll order hot chocolate. Her eyes flicked up. For her? She asked. For both of you. That earned the smallest smile. Not full, not free, but real. When the drinks came, she tested the temperature before letting her daughter sip. The tenderness in that small movement hit something deep in my chest. You're good at that, I said. At surviving? She replied dryly. At loving her. That's when she looked at me differently, like I'd seen something she didn't usually let people see. I'm not her mom, she said suddenly. The words dropped between us. My sister was, she continued. She died. Car accident. Lily was 6 months old. I felt my throat tighten. I adopted her. Moved cities. Left my job, everything. She said it plainly, but I could hear the fracture underneath. I'm sorry, I said quietly. She nodded. Most guys don't stick around after that part. There it was. The test. The moment where I was supposed to hesitate. Where I was supposed to calculate how complicated this would be. Instead, I told her the truth. My wife died 3 years ago. Childbirth complications. Her breath caught. Now it was her turn to see me. Not as a man on a date, but as someone who understood what it meant to build a life out of ashes. We didn't speak for a few seconds. The rain tapped softly against the windows. Her daughter's breathing evened out against her chest. And something shifted again. Not romance. Not yet. But trust. I almost didn't come tonight, she admitted. I'm glad you did, I said again. And this time, she believed me. But as she looked down at her daughter and then back at me, there was still fear in her eyes. Like she was already preparing for me to decide this was too much. And the truth? I didn't know yet if I was strong enough to stay. I should have been overwhelmed. Widowed aunt. Toddler. Grief still fresh in her voice. That's a lot for a first date. Instead, I felt something unexpected. Calm. Not because it was easy, because it wasn't. But because she wasn't pretending. Most dates are interviews. Polished stories. Filtered truths. Mara handed me the hardest part of her life in the first 20 minutes. And waited to see if I'd flinch. I don't usually tell people that much, she said, staring into her cup. Why tell me? I asked gently. She hesitated. Because I'm tired of starting over with people who leave the second things get real. There it was again. The quiet expectation of disappointment. I'm not leaving, I said. The words came out before I fully measured them. She studied me carefully. You barely know me. I know enough. Her eyebrow lifted slightly. Like what? I know you moved your whole life for her. I nodded toward Lily. I know you showed up tonight even though it would have been easier not to. I know you're exhausted, but you're still here. Her expression softened, just a little. And what if I told you I'm not strong all the time? She asked. I wouldn't expect you to be. The honesty in that moment felt fragile, dangerous, because the more she let me see, the more I wanted to step closer. And that scared me. I hadn't wanted to want anyone again, not after Jessica, not after learning how quickly everything can disappear. You ever feel guilty? She asked quietly. For what? For wanting something new. The question hit harder than I expected. Every day, I admitted. Her eyes met mine fully then. No masks, no defenses, just two people who loved someone they lost and weren't sure if it was allowed to love again. Lily stirred softly, pressing closer to Mara. Instinctively, my hand moved, adjusting the blanket slipping off the toddler's shoulder. Mara noticed, and something in her face changed. Warmer, less guarded, more open. That small gesture shouldn't have meant anything, but it did, because for the first time since my wife died, I didn't feel like I was betraying her by staying, and that realization terrified me, because if I stayed, this could become real. I didn't mean to ask her to see me again. It just slipped out. Saturday, I heard myself say. Green Lake Park, bring Lily, I'll bring Sophie. Mara blinked. You want the kids there? If this is going anywhere, I said carefully, they matter more than we do. The second the words left my mouth, I felt exposed, because I wasn't just talking about logistics. I was admitting I could see a future, and that scared me. She studied me like she was trying to decide if I was reckless or sincere. You're either very brave, she said softly, or very naive. Probably both. That made her laugh, really laugh this time, and the sound did something dangerous to my chest, the kind of dangerous that feels like hope. When we walked outside, the rain had stopped. The city felt washed clean. I held the door open while she adjusted Lily against her shoulder. Why did you smile at her first? Mara asked suddenly. At Lily? Yes. I didn't have to think about it, because I know what it's like when people look at your kid like they're an inconvenience. Her face shifted. I've had people leave mid-date, she admitted. The second they see I come with responsibility. She's not responsibility, I said firmly. She's a person. Silence fell between us. Not awkward, just heavy with understanding. I'm scared, she confessed quietly. Every time I start to care about someone, I think about losing them. I get that. You do? I lost my wife at a hospital that promised she'd be fine, I said evenly. I don't trust forever anymore either. Her breath caught. There it was again. That invisible thread. Grief recognizing grief. She stepped closer, almost unconsciously. So Saturday, she said. Saturday, I confirmed. But as she walked to her car, I felt it creeping in. The doubt. The question I didn't want to ask. Was I strong enough to let someone new into the space Jessica once filled? And if I wasn't, would I end up hurting her more than anyone ever had? Saturday came too fast. I barely slept. Not because I wasn't excited, because I was, and that terrified me. Sophie noticed immediately. You're wearing the blue shirt, she said at breakfast, studying me over her cereal. That's your special one. It's just a shirt, I muttered. She tilted her head. Is this the lady from the cafe? Yes. And her baby? She has a name, I smiled. Lily. Sophie nodded seriously. Then she asked the question I'd been avoiding in my own head. Is she going to be my new mommy? The words hit like a punch. No, I said gently, kneeling beside her. Nobody replaces mommy, ever. But Mara is someone Daddy likes. Sophie considered that. Does she make you smile? I didn't answer right away. Yes, I admitted. Good, she said simply. You were sad a lot. Kids don't filter. They just see. And she was right. At the park, I spotted Mara first. Jeans, green sweater. Hair pulled back. She looked younger in daylight, softer. Lily toddled beside her, holding her hand. Mara looked up and caught my eyes. For a second, neither of us moved, like we were both checking if the other had changed their mind. Sophie hid behind my leg. Lily hid behind Mara's. Two tiny mirrors of their parents. Hi, Mara said carefully. Hi. There was tension, not romantic, protective. We weren't just testing chemistry anymore. We were testing worlds colliding. Sophie peeked out first. I'm 4, she announced boldly to Lily. Lily held up 3 fingers. 2, Mara corrected gently. Sophie nodded. That's okay. I'll teach you. And just like that, the tension cracked. The girls walked toward the playground holding hands. Mara exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for hours. You didn't have to bring Sophie, she said softly. I wanted to. She looked at me then. Really looked. Most men would have kept things separate longer. I'm not most men. That sounded confident, but inside, my heart was pounding. Because watching Sophie lead Lily toward the swings, it felt right, too right. And if this worked, it wouldn't just change my life. It would change my daughters forever. I didn't expect the hardest part to be watching them. Sophie pushed Lily gently on the baby swing, giving instructions like a tiny coach. Not too high, she warned me. She's still learning. Lily giggled every time the swing moved. That deep, fearless toddler laugh that doesn't know what's coming next. Mara stood beside me, arms crossed tight. You can relax, I said quietly. I am relaxed. She wasn't. Her eyes followed every movement Lily made. Every step, every wobble. You're scared she'll fall, I said. She's all I have. The words weren't dramatic. They were factual. And that hit deeper. She won't break that easily, I told her gently. Kids are tougher than we think. She shouldn't have to be. There it was. The real fear, not scraped knees. Loss. I watched Lily run toward Sophie, stumbling slightly before regaining balance. Mara's body tensed instantly. Instinct. I reached out without thinking and touched her arm. She's okay. She glanced at my hand like it surprised her. Then she didn't pull away. I hate that I'm like this, she admitted. I check the locks 5 times at night. I replay worst-case scenarios constantly. I can't turn it off. You don't have to turn it off with me. Her jaw tightened. You say that now. Because I mean it. She looked at me carefully. You don't know what you're signing up for. That's the thing, I said quietly. I do. She studied me, waiting. I had panic attacks the first year after Jessica died, I admitted. I slept on the floor next to Sophie's crib because I thought she'd stop breathing. Mara's eyes softened. I still check her at night sometimes, I added. Grief doesn't leave. It just changes shape. For the first time that afternoon, her shoulders dropped slightly. Not fully, but enough. Behind us, Sophie had taken Lily's hand and was leading her up the slide ladder. Wait for me, Lily demanded. I will, Sophie promised. Mara watched them, something fragile moving across her face. If this goes badly, she whispered, it won't just hurt me. I know, and that scares me more than anything. She wasn't talking about herself. She was talking about Lily, and maybe about Sophie, and that's when I realized this wasn't just about whether we liked each other. It was about whether we were brave enough to let our daughters hope. I knew it the moment Sophie grabbed Lily's hand and said, You're my friend now. Kids don't hesitate. They don't overthink. They just choose. And watching them, something inside me shifted from cautious to terrified. Because this wasn't casual anymore. This had stakes. Later, we sat on the blanket, while the girls shared fruit pouches, like it was a sacred exchange. Mara was quieter than usual. You're thinking, I said. I always am. About? She hesitated. About how easy this feels. I smiled. That's bad? It usually is. There was no bitterness in her voice, just experience. I don't trust easy, she continued. The last time my life felt steady, it disappeared overnight. Her words hung between us. I understood that. I used to think if I let myself be happy again, I admitted, something terrible would follow. Like joy was a warning sign. Her eyes snapped to mine. You feel that too? Every time I laugh too hard? She let out a slow breath. This is the part where normal people would slow down, she said quietly. We are slowing down. Are we? She glanced toward the playground where our daughters were now chasing each other in circles, laughing like they'd known each other forever. Because that doesn't look slow, she whispered. I followed her gaze. Sophie had just tripped. Lily rushed to her, patting her shoulder in concern. It was clumsy, imperfect. Real. Mara, I said carefully, I'm not trying to replace anything you lost. I'm not trying to rush you. I know. But I also don't want to pretend this doesn't feel right. Her breath caught slightly. You scare me, she admitted. Why? Because I can see how this could become everything. The vulnerability in her voice hit me harder than any declaration of love could have. I'm scared too, I said honestly. Of what? Of losing it. Silence stretched between us. Not cold, just heavy. Then she did something small but brave. She reached for my hand. Not dramatic, not rushed, just intentional. And when our fingers intertwined, I felt it. Not a spark, not fireworks, something deeper. Like the beginning of a promise neither of us had said out loud yet. But as our daughters ran toward us laughing, I realized something unsettling. If this broke, it wouldn't just break us. It would break them too. It happened on a Tuesday. Of course it did. Rain again. Seattle doesn't miss symbolism. I was halfway through a work call when my phone buzzed. Mara! 3 missed calls. My stomach dropped before I even answered. When I called back, she picked up on the first ring. They're suing, she said. No, hello, no build-up. Just that. For what? I asked, already knowing. Custody. The words sucked the air out of my lungs. Lily's grandparents, she continued, voice shaking. They're claiming I'm unstable, that I isolated her, that I can't provide enough. I stood up without realizing it. That's insane. They have lawyers, Daniel. Her voice cracked on my name. I got served papers this morning. They want full custody. Full custody. Take her away. I heard Lily crying faintly in the background. Mara, I said carefully, look at me. Breathe. I can't lose her, she whispered. I can't, she's all I have left. I grabbed my keys before I even thought it through. I'm coming over. No, her response was sharp. You shouldn't. What? This is messy, ugly, I don't want you pulled into it. I already am. That's the problem, she snapped and then immediately softened. I'm sorry, I can't drag you into this. Not you, not Sophie. There it was. The wall, the instinct to protect by pushing away. You think I'm going to run? I asked quietly. No, she said, and that hurt more. I think you'll stay. And that makes it worse. Why? Because if this falls apart, she said, voice breaking, it won't just break me. It'll break you. It'll break Sophie. And I can't risk hurting your daughter because my life is chaos. I closed my eyes. She wasn't protecting herself. She was protecting us. I love you, I almost said. But I didn't. Not yet. Instead, I said, you don't get to decide what I can handle. Silence. Then softer, she whispered, Daniel, maybe we need space. That word hit harder than the lawsuit. Space. Right when things felt like family. Right when our daughters had started calling each other sisters. I'm not walking away, I said. I know, she replied. And somehow that sounded like goodbye. I didn't sleep that night. Not because of the lawsuit. Because of the word she used. Space. I understood fear. I understood panic. But I didn't understand pushing away the one person willing to stay. The next morning I texted her. No pressure. No guilt. Thinking of you. I'm here. She didn't reply. By noon my chest felt tight. By evening I was replaying every conversation we'd ever had. Looking for cracks. Sophie noticed. Did you fight with Mara? She asked quietly, while coloring at the kitchen table. No. Then why do you look like that? Kids see everything. They're having a hard time, I said carefully. Sometimes when adults are scared, they pull away. Are we still their family? She asked. The question shattered me. I hope so, I answered honestly. That night I drove to Mara's apartment. I didn't knock right away. I just sat in the car, staring at the building. Was I helping by showing up? Or was I making it harder for her? Before I could decide, the door opened. Mara stepped outside. She looked exhausted, like she hadn't slept either. You shouldn't be here, she said softly. I know. But you came anyway. I don't walk away when things get hard. Her eyes filled. That's what scares me, she whispered. I stepped closer but didn't touch her. Are you breaking up with me? I asked quietly. She closed her eyes. I'm trying to protect you. That's not what I asked. Her silence answered me. My chest felt like it was caving in. Daniel, she said, voice trembling, if they take Lily, I won't survive that. And I can't let you or Sophie get pulled into the wreckage. You think loving you is wreckage? No, she said immediately. Loving you is the best thing that's happened to me. Then don't push me away. Tears slid down her face. I don't know how to fight for Lily and fight for us at the same time. That was it. The truth. She didn't doubt us. She doubted her strength. I took one step closer. You don't have to fight alone. Her breath shook. But she didn't step into me. And that distance, that tiny space between us, felt bigger than the entire world. I made a choice in that space between us. I didn't move closer. I didn't walk away. I just stood there. I'm not another thing you have to manage, I said quietly. I'm not pressure. I'm not a distraction. I'm on your side. Mara's hands trembled at her sides. You don't understand, she whispered. If I lose her, you won't. You can't promise that. No, I admitted. But I can promise you won't face it alone. She looked at me like she wanted to believe that more than anything. And that's when Lily's small voice floated through the open apartment door. Mama? Mara broke, not loudly, not dramatically, just folded in half under the weight of everything. I caught her before she hit the ground. She clung to me like someone drowning. I'm so tired, she sobbed into my chest. I'm so tired of being strong. You don't have to be strong with me, I murmured. For a long moment, she just cried. Then she pulled back slightly, eyes red but clearer. I don't want space, she admitted. I want you. I just don't know how to hold everything without it falling apart. Then we build something that doesn't fall apart so easily. That's not how life works. It can be, I said softly. If we choose it. She searched my face one last time. Even if this gets ugly? Yes. Even if they drag your name into court? Yes. Even if Sophie gets attached and it hurts? She already is, I said gently. And so am I. That was the moment. Not the cafe, not the park, not the laughter. This standing in fear and choosing to stay anyway. Mara stepped into me fully this time. No hesitation. No space. I love you, she whispered, like it scared her to say it. My heart pounded. I love you too. Not as a rescue. Not as a rebound. But as a choice. A real one. Lily toddled out and wrapped her arms around Mara's leg. Then looked up at me. Stay? She asked. I knelt down to her level. I'm not going anywhere. And for the first time since this all began, I wasn't afraid of that promise.